I gotta admit, in my former life in Christianity, before I was actually converted, I always thought that Christianity would make my life better.
Ooh, so are you saying it won't?
Well, I found out that that's not the point. Christianity is not intended to make your life better. This and
More.
on this episode of The Move.
Today's episode is brought to you by Logos. Learn more about the world's best Bible study software at logos.com/themove. We're going to be starting today's episode, John chapter 4, verses 43 to 54.
And as always, the question is, have you read it? If you haven't, it's in the description below. And we will put 10 minutes on the clock, and we will begin in 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
So we weren't going to shoot this episode today.
Yeah.
We're going to do it tomorrow. But
Yeah.
then you're like, no, we got to do this because there was a verse that stood out talking about signs and wonders. And there's the whole thing. It's like, there's this beautiful thought that John's getting towards that we got to really bring just together.
Yeah. And again, this passage is almost to me like the wedding at Cana passage.
Yeah.
Precisely because there's these elements that I'm like, wait, how does that work together?
Uh-huh.
Bro, all of a sudden, as we've been doing this, like the wedding story at Cana is so rich because it's the setup.
It's that you see from that single story like 10 different foreshadowings that's taking place just all the way up to chapter 4. We haven't even gone through the rest of the book yet.
And it's crazy.
I'm fairly certain we're going to see it more resurfacing over and over and over again.
Yeah. So what happens? Jesus has just finished with the woman at the well. Not only that, but
People came, and for 2 days he's there teaching, and they're speaking the word of them. They all receive him. They're like, cool, this is the one that we've been looking for. So Jesus is like, all right, cool, I got to go. We're going to go back over to Galilee.
Yeah,
There's a
right.
parenthetical statement there that's really important because it sets up this entire story.
Yeah, so verse 43, Jesus says, after 2 days, he departed for Galilee. Again, John with the days.
2 days.
Right, 2 days. All right, this day, right? That's there.
There's probably something deeper about 2 days, but at least one immediate application is like, listen, when you receive truth, sit in it for some time. Like, don't just like do it quick.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
it's not just like come and go. Like, all right, cool, your life has changed. Like, no, there's value in sitting with Jesus and spending time, quality time with him, right?
Yeah, no, that's definitely I have to affirm that. And you know that John, he has this he has a valiancy when it comes to the clues that he's dropping. And by valiancy, meaning that he has all of these possibilities that it could be, right? But look at verse 43. Jesus is on his way to Galilee, but it says, for Jesus himself had testified that a prophet has no honor in his hometown. So John is setting up that as Jesus is going to Galilee,
He already knows something is not going to happen.
right? He's not receiving the honor that is actually due to him via the truth of his identity. And watch what happens. Verse 45 already gives us clues. So when he came to Galilee, the Galileans welcomed him.
Why?
Well, he's getting honored.
Yeah.
They welcomed him.
So hold on. I thought that he's not
thought he
going to
would.
get honored.
Yeah, why would they welcome him?
So the verse gives him clarification. Why were they honoring? Why were they welcoming him? Simply because they had seen and heard what he had done at Jerusalem at the feast. So there's, and this is, I've seen this in my own life. There is an ulterior motive, an impure motive, right? Verse 46, he comes again to Cana in Galilee where he made the water wine. So if it wasn't clear enough yet, John just comes out and says, it's like, hey, the thing I'm talking about is this whole water to wine, this first miracle, this first sign.
Because he says that, did you just say that verse 46?
Yeah,
He comes to where he made water. Well, the thing that's jumping in my head is two people that have influenced my life deeply. One, Dan Moeller, right? Just watching his videos. One day, I'm going to meet you, man. We're going to hang.
If not here, then there.
We got an appointment. And I know many of you that watch these videos, feel the same way. And then number 2, a buddy of mine who preached the gospel told me real early on, Werner Carrasco. And one of his big teaching points for me was that he would always highlight how often we were Christians for our own sake. That we were Christians because of what Jesus could do for us.
Because my life's in shambles, I'm stressed out, it's kind of like a country song, like everything just seems to be going wrong.
Right. And so that Jesus would come and make it all right. And so what Jesus could do for me, and he would always point it out to me, like, Jonathan, we're not Christians for our own sake. The gift is that we can give up on our sake, be okay, and live to love others freely.
Yeah.
Right. But when we position Jesus as somebody who exists in my life for my sake, like he's giving me blessing, he's giving me this, and we keep it for me, then I'm living at his expense, and what's really Lord is my benefit and signs and wonders.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I agree with the underlying point, but the full picture is that Jesus did come so that our life was better. John 10.
I came that they might have life.
Life and life more abundantly. But I think there is a core truth as to what you're speaking, is that intimacy with Jesus is not really about what we get out of it. It's just about him.
Well, I'd have to push back, brother.
Okay.
Right? You remember that? You remember that? I have to push back. That's a great line. That Jesus didn't come to make our life better. Jesus came to give us life.
Ooh.
We didn't have it.
Yeah.
And in having
'Cause
life,
all we had was death.
my man. And
Come
in
on.
having it, I don't have to live for myself anymore because I know what I got.
Yeah.
So I'm confident,
Yeah.
right? I'm not looking for benefits. I already got all the benefits. Like Dan says, I'm not a man looking for answers. Why? Because I'm a man with one. I'm not a man looking for answers, right? I'm a man with one incredible answer,
Yeah.
which is the yes and amen to Jesus. So I don't have to live at the expense of another. You see here that sometimes you can thinking that you're receiving Jesus and you're not. You're receiving a miracle worker. Hopefully that's going to benefit your life instead of receiving him who is life
Yeah.
and will actually give us that living water,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think this is what John's getting at. This is why he's positioning these stories this way.
I think the beauty of all of this, this is a theme that you and I have spoken of many times, is this idea of C.S. Lewis, God stoops to save.
Yeah.
We want God for all of his benefits. And
Yeah.
God is so great and so humble at the same time. He's like, all right, if that's the only way I can get you to even consider is by bribery or signs and wonders, hey, you know what? I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to humiliate myself because why? Because I value you.
Yeah. I'm willing to, there is no pride in God.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is what we see right here, right? So he's getting to Galilee where there's a water turned to wine. Then someone shows up, an official who had a son who was ill at Capernaum, right?
And then he says, the official said to him, "Sir, come down before my child dies." Jesus said to him, "Go." Well, actually says, "Unless you see signs and wonders, you will not believe," right? Unless you see, says this thing. The official's like, "Oh, come on before my child dies." Man, you want me for these benefits, and unless you see them, you won't actually believe. But listen to the word I'm telling you.
Yeah. And this is standing in direct contrast with what was going on with the previous chapter,
Yeah,
right?
with the Samaritans.
With the Samaritans.
The Samaritans.
No miracles, no signs, just speaking the word, them receiving, them embracing life.
Bruh, it's the Samaritans,
Yeah.
right? They're the ones that are ethnically right? They're the ones with the expressive worship that like they don't actually know the truth.
Right.
They're the ones that don't have the education and the understanding, right? And they live in that side of town.
On that side of the train tracks.
Right? And they're the ones that get it. And Jesus has come unto his own,
And
the
they don't
one that
receive
have the oracles of God, all the training, the religion, and they don't honor and receive him for who he truly is. And they ask him to prove himself via signs and wonders.
You know, that's a word for us. And I'm saying us in the fullest sense. Like, you know, we talked a lot in season 1 of the movie as we've been going through Romans. Like, one of the biggest mistakes that we do is an us versus themism kind of a thing where it's like, oh, we're better, you're not. And we just positions ourselves as though that everyone else just is missed the point, right? Yeah, we put the one finger out, there's the several fingers pointing back. Yeah. And we see this mistake being made in the Jews, here in the Jews again.
And then he says, so Jesus says to him, "Go, your son will live." The man believed the word. This is what's good. Jesus spoke and the man believed it. All right, I'll receive it. You know, nothing else to hang on. I'll receive. The man believes the word. Jesus spoke to him, went on his way. As he was going down, his servants met him, told him that his son was recovering. He asks, "At what hour?" So they said, "Yesterday at the 7th hour, the fever left him." The father knew that was the hour when Jesus had said it to him. So again, the word. Right, he knew. It was that hour he spoke.
Yeah.
All right. And your son will live. And he himself believed in all his household.
You know, I want to point out this whole like coincidence idea. We've been talking and developing this idea of like our life is a fairy tale.
Yeah.
God's got, you know, the cosmic forces, right? God is bringing things together for a very express purpose. Jesus actually has clarity because of life in spirit. He gets to see it for what it is, not have to look backwards and reinterpret it after the fact that it's happened. But what we get to see here is an example of what this looks like lived out. Because someone could have easily be like, oh, you know, the kid was sick. You know, he's probably gonna get better.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we pray for something and then it happens. And then even while we get what we pray for, we're just like, oh, maybe that was just a coincidence. Yeah. Right?
We explain it away, right?
Yeah, we do explain it away. And yet what we see is the way that he knew is that, hey, that was when the word came to him at that moment.
Yeah. And how does this finish here? At the end, the last verse.
54. Now, this was the second sign that Jesus did when he'd come from Judea to Galilee.
And what's interesting to me thus far, and this is important as we move forward, is that he has done the signs amongst his own.
And he has done both of those signs with a degree of protest.
Yeah.
Mary comes and says, hey, do this thing. He's like, woman, what do you mean? Like, it's not my time yet. And he protests even in the second one. It's like, hey, listen, you guys, why are you depending on signs and wonders? And yet stooping to save, willing to do it.
And it's noteworthy that he does these signs amongst his own, almost like, all right, here it is, right?
Yeah.
And yet there's a hesitancy on their part to receive him, right? Which is interesting because you're contrasting between the ones who aren't the chosen ones that are leaning in. The woman at the well leaning in, but Nicodemus, and at least in this example at first, not really wanting to lean in.
Because here's one of the things I see, that experiences and signs and wonders are fleeting, but the word is that which remains. So if I build my experience like these people, depending on signs and wonders and not on the word, that thing just gets swallowed up nice and quick. So it's a lesson to me. What do I build my entire bedrock foundation on? Is on the word.
Man, remember that song? I will build my life upon your... Yeah, man. We build our life upon the rock, the word, right? If you remain in my word, right?
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
Hey movers, I recently got to travel to the Logos headquarters and ended up recording several tutorials on how you and I can get more from our Bible study using Logos. To see the entire playlist of videos, visit logos.com/themove and get 10% off any Logos 8 product you want. logos.com/themove.